Okay, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, friends from all around the world. A very warm welcome to everyone for tuning in to the Topliners Web Travel Series. I hope you had your dinner, and do say hi to us in the chat box if you can hear us well and are doing great. Okay, first and foremost, I'm Ming from Topliners Club, and I will be your host today. Topliners Club is a licensed bespoke travel agency in Singapore, and what we do is that we customize all the itineraries and arrange the most suitable experience and accommodations for our customers. So you can actually find out more about us at toplinersclub.com. Okay, and together with me tonight, co-hosting the session is Julian, who is also my business partner in this company. He's also the host for our Southern Africa webinars, so do check them out on our Facebook page or YouTube channel for the previous playbacks. Okay, so next, I will also like to introduce our beautiful guest speaker all the way from Switzerland, Zurich, Miss Catharina. Catharina is a veteran travel professional running a Swiss travel company called Swiss Epic Tours, and is also our working partner in Switzerland. So hello, Catharina, thank you for joining us.
Hello, good evening, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. I'm excited about this session. And as Ming said already, I hope you had dinner because we're going to speak about a lot of sweet things tonight.
So desserts for us.
Yes.
Yes. And also today we are very honored to have Oliver, who is a Swiss citizen based in Singapore, okay, from the Switzerland Tourism Board. So Oliver has lived and worked in both Switzerland and Singapore for a number of years. So he'll be sharing some unique perspective and experiences with us. Hello, Oliver. Thank you for joining us.
Hello, good evening, everybody. It's a pleasure to be back, and I'm looking very much forward to share some gastronomic stories with you tonight.
Oh, okay. I can't wait for that. Okay, so TLC, these Topliners Web Travel Series are basically bite-sized travel webinars talking about different destinations. We want it to be sharply focused, casual, and candid. And we will endeavor to keep each session with a maximum of about 1 hour, depending on the length of our Q&A. Okay, so we will try as much as possible to answer every single questions in this webinar. Okay, this Switzerland travel series will be run on a bi-weekly basis. So we will do the session on Wednesday night, same timing, 8:30, okay? So today, in this third episode of our Switzerland travel series, we will be chatting about the various gastronomical experiences you can find in Switzerland. Okay, so by sharing these options with you, we hope that it will help you you can actually, sharing this option with you, we hope it can actually help you to better understand how you can incorporate food and wine experiences into your itinerary. And when you travel to Switzerland, you know, in the future, you know what to do. So our next episode will be held on the 14th of October, 8:30 p.m. Okay, and we will be talking about the best panoramic train rides in Switzerland. Okay, at the same time, we'll be recommending some excursions that you can possibly do en route the train journey. So do join us to find out more about the best scenic train rides in the next session. Okay, so today do feel free to ask any questions during the session, as we will be stopping as we go along to answer your questions. And as we are striving to keep the session short and sweet, we will also try our best to address all questions relating to the topic we have set for today. Okay, for all other questions, if you feel that it's not answered yet, do feel free to write to us by email and we will answer them promptly. So the contact details will be shown at the end of the session. Okay, so all right, we have a lot to cover today and enough of my talking. So I will now like to hand over the time to our beautiful guest speaker, Catharina, please.
Thank you very much, Ming. Thank you very much. I will share my screen with you all for you can see the presentation we have prepared about the best wine and dine experiences in Switzerland. I think it should be visible to everybody, right?
Yes.
Like this, correct?
Yes, all good.
Okay, great. So as Ming mentioned already, we are going to talk tonight about basically your desserts. We have a lot of topics to speak about. We will be talking about cheese, of course. We will be talking about chocolate, very important for Switzerland. And we will talk also a little bit about life at the farms, for example. We have some nice experiences here in Switzerland, which you can do, some nice ideas for picnics even in the mountains and so on. And maybe the best Swiss kept secret is the wine. I know the wine is not very famous, the wine from Switzerland maybe, and that's why we implemented in this session, because it's definitely worth it to talk about it a little bit and to make you familiar with this subject as well. So we will start with the cheese. The cheese is our first topic. I think when you think about Switzerland, cheese is maybe one of the first things that come into your mind. Actually, we have in our days a lot of different types of cheeses, over 450 different types. And just on this map, you can see maybe the most famous names. If I talk about Emmental, for example, that is in this area over here. Then we have the Appenzell cheese, that's over here in the east of Switzerland. Of course, the Gruyere. Gruyere is maybe the most famous cheese of Switzerland, actually existed already in 1300. So it's many, many, many years back. Now, why is this cheese so important in Switzerland? Well, actually that started as a tradition from the farmers, because what they did, they made cheese to use the milk they could preserve. So to save the milk, they used it then, the milk, to make cheese and butter for during the winter time. So they did not have to throw away the milk the farmers had at the farms, but they could use it for making cheese and butter and other, of course, specialties. So that's actually how it started. And then this cheese story grew up a lot, so much that in our days, we produce over 180,000 tons of cheese. So that's quite a lot. 60,000 tons, so that is 33% more or less, 1/3 is being exported to other countries. So therefore the Swiss cheese, if you compare it with the Swiss wine, I said the Swiss wine is not very well known abroad. The Swiss cheese is quite well known abroad. Maybe you all have heard of these names I just mentioned, Gruyere, Emmental and Appenzell. Now we have, of course, different types of cheeses. We have the soft cheese, the semi-soft cheese, also the hard cheese and the extra hard cheese. It depends on the amount of salt, if you want it salty or less salty. So a lot of different flavors to test when you are in Switzerland. Two very famous cheese dishes we have. The fondue. The fondue is the typical melted cheese dish. That is the picture you can see over here on the left-hand side. It's melted cheese, and traditionally we dip into this fondue, we dip some bread, some pieces of bread, and then you can enjoy this with a nice glass of white wine normally. This is possible to order in many, many restaurants. It's a little bit a heavy meal, so we do not recommend it to eat it very, very late in the evening, because it can be a little bit heavy for the stomach. But there are also a lot of restaurants in Switzerland that serve actually this fondue as a tryout. So if you do not want to eat this as a complete dish, you can have just a little bit of it to try the Swiss cheese experience, and then accompany it with some vegetables if you like, or some rice or something else, some salad maybe. That's definitely possible. And then we have the other cheese dish, which is the raclette. It's the picture over here. Rather than melted cheese, this is more like a kind of grilled cheese dish, and we accompany it with vegetables, with meat, maybe with some potatoes, with some salad, and so on. So you can actually, the same as for the fondue dish, there are a lot of restaurants here in Switzerland as well that just give this as an option. You can buy a small portion from it, or order a small portion and then accompany it with some other delicious food on the table. Maybe a shared dish, for example, with your friends and family members. So that's a little bit the history of the Swiss cheese, and also the most important cheese dishes we have. Now, of course, a part of cheese dishes, so to try it out, we have also some activities in Switzerland connected to the cheese. And I think if you come to Switzerland and you want to learn a little bit about the cheese, one of the nice things you can do here is make your own cheese. You have a couple of farms where this is possible. So you would go there with your friends, your family. You could have a guide, or you can just go sometimes on your own to have a look, and then they show you how the cheese is made. And sometimes you can even do a workshop as well to make the cheese on your own and bring it back home. You can see that here on these two pictures we have put into the presentation. You can do it several places in the country. So it's not only one area, whether you are more in the north or you are more in the west of the country or more towards the south. There are places all over the country where you can find this kind of activities. Another option, of course, combining with the wine areas is the cheese and wine tasting. There are a lot of possibility, and usually when you do a wine tasting, there is also some cheese to accompany, so you can try out these different types of cheese and basically decide which one you like most to take back home. So this regarding the cheese section. Maybe there are some questions, or maybe Oliver wants to add some information about this as well.
Yeah, I'm sure some of us will be wondering, especially our customers. Catharina, would it be possible to actually do this cheese making workshop on a private basis? That means probably myself and 3 other friends, and then we want to have this workshop on our own, without joining others, especially in current difficult times.
Yes, of course, that is all possible. There are regular workshops, of course, for bigger groups, but if you would like to have a more private experience, that is definitely possible, and that's all possible to arrange. Of course, if you book that a little bit in advance, then you can have your private cheese making experience. Yes.
Yes, okay. I'm sure they will probably have a much better experience having it on a private basis, because they can ask all the questions they want during the workshop.
Exactly.
Yeah, and also there are actually many different types of cheese available. And Oliver, are there any specific types in Switzerland that you especially like? And how do you usually eat them? Because for Asians, we basically just eat them with bread or just pre-wine snacks.
That's basically the way I eat it too. There are many different types of cheeses, and we have it here on the map, like the Emmentaler and the Appenzeller, to name a few. These are top famous cheeses. But my all-time favorite is definitely the Gruyere cheese, a cheese that originates from the western part of Switzerland. Slightly salty, a hard cheese, and it comes perfectly together with a glass of wine and maybe some cold cuts. When I'm in Switzerland meeting some friends, then we have a so-called Plattli, which is a platter of cold cuts with some meat and then some cheese, a glass of wine, maybe some pickles, and we eat that in the afternoon before dinner, or just when we are a little bit hungry, then we just eat it together with some fresh bread. That's, to my opinion, the perfect way. And I never miss to bring some Gruyere back to Singapore. And the other cheese that I bring back is the raclette cheese. So you can buy this in the supermarket as thin slices. And then when you are here in Singapore, you just you can put it in the oven, and then it melts. I cut some potatoes, some fresh onions, then I put the layers of cheese on the potatoes, put it in the oven, and then it melts and it's grilled, and this is fantastic. Makes me always very happy. And it's best to share those dishes. Also the fondue that Catharina mentioned, this is not a dish that you eat on your own. That's something you have to share. And I think important also what Catharina mentioned, since most of the Southeast Asians are maybe not used to eat a lot of cheese, Swiss people, they can eat a lot of cheese and big portions of fondue. Try to find a restaurant where they have this tasting menu. So you can just dip a piece of bread just to have the flavor and to try it once. And most likely after 2-3 pieces of bread with cheese, you guys will be done. But it's definitely worth trying it.
It's a good tip from Oliver. Okay, any questions regarding this? Any cheese lovers here would like to ask anything specifically regarding cheese? If not, we will just move on, and we can still answer them later on. Yeah.
All right, then we will move on to the sweet section. We just had a little bit the salty section with the cheese. Now we move on to the sweet section, and we will talk a little bit about the Swiss chocolate. Also very famous. And why is the Swiss chocolate so famous? Well, actually they say because many of the cows, they graze a little bit more in the mountains. So they produce this typical alpine milk. We say that's a little bit a more dense milk than other types of cows in other parts of the world, maybe. And that gives basically also this very good taste to the Swiss chocolate. We have here a couple of examples. The Lindt and Sprüngli is very famous in Switzerland. A part of this, the Lederach, the Caillé, more from the west of the country, Frey, and many, many others. So we have a lot of different types of chocolate as well. Now the chocolate actually in Switzerland exists already since over 200 years. And actually at the beginning in 1800, more or less, it was used at the pharmacies. They sold it there as a kind of tablet, we could say, to give a boost, some energy to the people who were not feeling so well, who were a little bit low and needed a kind of energy boost. So originally it was sold at the pharmacies. And then of course, at several parts in the country, first in the west of the country, the Mark Caillé, Mr. Caillé, they started to produce the chocolate. Actually, Mr. Caillé invented the pressed chocolate production. But it was still a little bit hard and it was still a little bit crumbly, to say like that, a little bit strong. Now, how did the the chocolate become so creamy and with the melt in the mouth taste? That actually happened by accident. Because on a Friday evening, the chocolate makers, they forgot to switch off the machinery and they let it work during the weekend. And then on Monday morning, when they came back in the factories again, they found out that actually, by accident, they let these machines on. And of course, first they were in shock because they thought, what happened? What did we do? We spoiled maybe all the chocolate we were making. We forgot to switch off this machine. And then after a while, they tried the chocolate and they found that it was very creamy and it melted in the mouth. And that's actually why they started to produce this very melty chocolate. So the taste changed, but it actually was because of an accident that happened just by forgetting to switch off the machinery during the weekend. Now in our days, we have, as I mentioned, a lot of different types of chocolate. We produce approximately 70% of the chocolate is milk chocolate. That is really traditional in Switzerland. Then we have 25% is a little bit more the dark chocolate, so a little bit stronger, more bitter chocolate. And 5% is very sweet chocolate, that is the white chocolate. But most of the chocolate production is actually still the milk chocolate. Now, of course, related to chocolates, we have also a lot of sweet activities you can do. You can imagine, because we have these chocolate factories in all parts of the country, whether you are in Zurich, whether you are in the west, more Geneva area of the country, you can find chocolate factories and chocolate museums, which you can visit. And at many places, you can make your own chocolate as well. Whether you want to engrave your name, for example, to take the chocolate home as a nice memory from your trip to Switzerland, that is possible. Or maybe you want to take it back home to one of your friends or family members as a present, maybe for a wedding or something like that. You can engrave the name of the bride and the groom, if you like. That is all possible. A part of that, we have the chocolate train. And you can see here on the right-hand side a nice picture. The chocolate train runs in the western part of Switzerland. So that is in the area of the vineyards as well, and in the area of Montreux. It starts in Montreux and then it goes until the area of Gruyère. And when you board this train, you can enjoy, of course, a nice cup of coffee and maybe some croissant with some chocolate inside, so a nice breakfast. And then it brings you to two nice activities, namely a cheese museum, I could say. A cheese Maison Caillé is one of them. That is the chocolate factory where you can then go and you can have a look and you can see and learn how the chocolate was made. And the other one is the cheese place, the Maison Gruyère, where the Gruyère cheese is from. So these two activities are basically connected by this chocolate train. A part of going by a beautiful landscape, you have these two cheese and chocolate activities, which you can do basically in the same area. So it's a nice combination of activities. That is regarding the chocolate section and the sweet activities we can do. Of course, this is the same as what Ming mentioned before. If you would like to make your own chocolate, you have these common workshops, which are bookable by anybody. So then you have rather a big group, but you can also make it a more private experience. If you would like just with your friends and your family members and have a little bit more a private session, then you can do that as well. You have your own guide, you are just a small groups of friends or family, and you can make this beautiful and delicious chocolate to bring back to Singapore. So that's definitely a nice recommendation when you come to visit our country.
Oliver, do you have anything you want to add regarding chocolates?
Yes, chocolate and cheese. Maybe I can quickly answer two questions that have been raised in the chat. It's about cheese. Beta asked where she can buy Swiss cheese in Singapore. I'm happy to answer this one. Me as a cheese lover and cheese monster, I had this issue. Where can I get some Swiss cheese? The biggest selection of real Swiss imported cheese you can find at the Huber's Butchery at Dempsey Hill. Actually, it's a butchery, but he imports a lot of good stuff from Switzerland. So there you can get all the traditional hard and soft cheeses from Switzerland. And then I think Gabriel asked where he can try fondue. Fondue and raclette can be eaten in Singapore as well. There are some places. One place where you can get a very nice fondue is actually the Swiss Club, Bukit Timah area near the old grandstand. There you can even go as a non-member. You can go to the Swiss Club and try a delicious fondue. Or there is quite a new restaurant in the Tanjong Pagar area called Kuku, C-O-U-C-O-U. A beautiful small little restaurant with Swiss food, and they do fondue and raclette as well. So I tried it and it's fantastic. So these are my two recommendations. There might be some other places, but those are the two first ones that come in mind. And yeah. And then regarding the chocolate and the cheese in Switzerland, Catharina mentioned the village and the cheese dairy in Gruyère. And there, if you're nearby, the village Gruyère itself is a must to visit. It's actually like an old castle, a village in a castle on a little hill. So it's perfect place to take pictures. It's really like a little bit in a medieval fairy tale, and there you can also try all the dishes. Definitely worth a visit. Don't miss that.
Okay, we also have one question from Sophia asking, are there any chocolate factories that they can visit?
Yes, there are. That's the Maison Caillé that Catharina just mentioned before. Then the Lindt factory near Zurich. Maybe this is good to mention because it has a news character. You see in the picture right now in the middle, this is the world's largest or tallest chocolate fountain, 8 meters high. They just opened on September 24th, if I'm not completely wrong. It's called, what is it? The Swiss Home of Chocolate. And there you have, first of all, like the possibility to visit like a museum to learn something about the history. You can do your chocolate workshops. You can do some chocolate tasting. And this is just outside of Zurich, like 15-20 minutes bus ride from the city, or you can even take the boat to go there and then take the bus back. There is Frey chocolate, there is Maestrani, there is all over Switzerland. The main brands they have nowadays, they're chocolate factories where you can visit, learn and try the chocolate.
So other than the normal chocolate workshop in the chocolate factory, I understand that we can actually do a chocolate workshop with a world chocolate champion. Is there such a thing? Can you share with us more about this?
There is such a thing, yes. In 2018, Mr. Elias Lederach, he was world master of chocolate. So he was really a world champion in chocolate making. And the name says it already. We even have it here on the slide by coincidence. The second one, Lederach, that's the name of the family, that's the name of the brand, and that's the name of the world master of chocolate. And this chocolate you can even get in Singapore. They opened 2 shops, one at Jewel Changi and one is, if I'm not completely wrong, is at Takashimaya. Fantastic chocolate, and they have at their flagship store in Zurich, just opposite the main train station in the heart of Zurich, they have a store and like a chocolate atelier where you can go and do the chocolate. Maybe not with him because he's one of the, I'm not sure whether he's the CEO now or, you know, one of the managers. So maybe he will not be around to do the chocolate workshops by himself. But I did the chocolate workshop with them about 2 years ago. And the person who taught me how to make chocolate was the first runner-up. So actually she was second and just behind her boss. So I was asking her, did you lose on purpose? Because you cannot beat your boss in the world championship. And she was just smiling. So I don't know, but it was fantastic. And I think this chocolate really tasted world class afterwards. Definitely recommendable to go there.
Sure. Okay. Let me check. I think we don't have any more questions regarding chocolate. Then let's move on.
Yeah, okay, then we move on to Switzerland. I would say Switzerland's best kept secret, maybe, because when we talk about wine, usually we do not really think about Switzerland, I guess. Usually it's Italy and France with the Bordeaux areas and so on. But Switzerland does have a lot of wine areas, actually, and we can see it here a little bit on the map. Maybe good to mention at the beginning, most of the wine we produce in Switzerland is red wine. We would say like 66% more or less. 34% would be white wine. And we have quite some wine areas in Switzerland. The reason that you probably do not know so much about Swiss wines is that it's so good, we decide to drink it all in Switzerland. We keep it all in our country. So there is not so much export of wines, just 1% maybe of the wine we produce, and that goes mostly to Germany. So it's very hard to find this Swiss wine in any other country. So therefore, if you want to try the Swiss wine, then come to Switzerland and we would love to show you around and support you on the wine tastings. Actually, Swiss wine is something very traditional and very old in Switzerland. Already the Romans, since the Roman times, we do wine producing, mostly the grapes, of course. And then you can see here these several areas. So this area here we call the Three Lakes area. This is not so far away from Gruyere, where you can try the cheese and the chocolate as well. So if you would be visiting Gruyere and you would like to combine, for example, wine and cheese and chocolate, that is doable in, I would say, 2 days if you want to make the most of it. This area, as well as the Lake Geneva area, we call this area Lavaux. There are a lot of vineyards in this area as well. Then we move to the Italian part of the country, which is called Ticino. Most of the wine we produce here is red wine as well. This is at the other side of the Alps, at the other side of the high mountains. And this area already has a very Mediterranean climate. So that's why this is a very good area for the Merlot wine. Approximately 80% of the wine we produce in this area is the Merlot. And then here in the north as well, although the climate is much colder, we do have some wine production. It's not too much, but a little bit we do, mostly here in this area of Schaffhausen. This is the area where you can find the waterfalls as well, the Rhine waterfalls. So that would be something nice maybe to combine on a day to visit the waterfalls and do some wine tasting also in this area. We have a lot of Pinot Noir in this area in the north of the country. So actually, as you can see on the map, in all the country we do produce some wine. What's maybe funny to mention is here in the Lavaux area, the vineyards are very steep. So during the harvest, it's really not so much with machinery. It's most of the times by hand that they pick up the grapes. And sometimes they even use then helicopters to take away the grapes from the vineyards, because it's very difficult to go here with trucks and other kind of machinery to support the harvest. So it's everything like handmade. It's very special. Then of course we have here a little bit an overview of the Swiss wines. The Pinot Noir is the most famous red wine together with the Merlot. And you can see here already two images of these very steep vineyards. These are both located in the Lavaux area. So that is the area a little bit at the north side of the Lake of Geneva. And then the most famous white wines, I think it's the Müller-Thurgau. This is from the north of the country. It's a very famous one. You don't find it, as I said, a lot abroad. But in Switzerland, this is a very, very famous wine. The same for Pinot Gris, Chardonnay, and Sauvignon Blanc. We drink it quite a lot. And this white wine actually is the best wine to combine if you would like to eat a cheese dish. So we drink a lot of white wine together with the fondue and with the raclette we just talked about. Now, of course, if you are in Switzerland and you would like to visit these wine areas, we have several ways of doing so. First of all, you can go on a cycling route if you like. If you are sportive and you feel like you want to move a little bit at the same time, you can do some beautiful cycling routes through the vineyards. We have that in the Lake Geneva area and in the Lavaux area, so that is in the southwest of the country, but also in the north, as I mentioned before, where is Schaffhausen, so where the Rhine Falls are. There are beautiful wine routes and they are not so steep. So it's possible to do this kind of routes. We have even e-bikes, for example. You can rent an e-bike, so you don't have to make so much an effort. Mostly if you want to go wine tasting in between, it's maybe not bad to do something like this with an e-bike. So that's definitely possible. And the other nice attraction we have regarding or connected to wine routes is hiking in the vineyards with some wine tasting. And most of the time then they serve also like a kind of cold platter or some cheeses for you to try out. And we can do this as well, basically in the Lake Geneva area, mostly in Lavaux, in the southwest of the country. Now, this is beautiful activities to do. The harvest time, of course, is more or less now. So September, the month of September, is a beautiful and perfect month of the year to do these kind of activities. What we have at the beginning of the season, so in June, we have these open cellar days. So it is possible to visit the wine cellars. It's possible actually also during all summertime, but it starts traditionally in the month of June. Then you can visit these cellars, do some wine tasting, learn a little bit about the wine production in Switzerland. And that's a nice recommendation for if you would be in Switzerland more at the beginning of the season. And then if you want to see the harvest, of course, then the best time of the year would be the month of September, because that is traditionally the month of the harvest of the grapes everywhere in the world, basically, but in Switzerland, definitely. And then you could also enjoy these vineyards with the beautiful views and the leaves changing color. So it's a real nice time of the year to do this kind of activities.
Okay. Definitely, I think Swiss wines are one of your best kept secrets. Basically in our part of our world, we don't really hear about Swiss wines. And now we know the reason is that you don't export them, and most of it are basically consumed by yourself. And I think whatever that is being exported is consumed by Oliver in Singapore. Yeah. So if you want wines, probably you can visit his house now. I'm sure he kept some of the good Swiss wines there.
I
So
have two, three
yeah.
bottles here. Yes, that's true.
Yeah. So Oliver, since you're a wine lover as well, may I just ask what is your favorite wine in Switzerland that you have to drink whenever you are back? And can you share with us more about it?
I can share with you, yeah. But to mention one favorite wine, this is quite difficult. Let's try to narrow it down a little bit. So basically, I prefer white wine. So, and we learned before that Switzerland produces 2/3 is red and 1/3 is white wine. So 2/3 is already out. And from this white wine, about 20, I looked it up before, 27% of the whole wine production is Chasselas. It's a Chasselas grape, and this is the wine that is mostly grown in the Lake Geneva area. We see it on the picture here, the steep wine terraces that are actually a UNESCO World Heritage Site. So there, I think it also depends on where and with whom you drink the wine. And if it's a local wine, then it's anyway a fantastic experience. Sitting in the vineyard, maybe even together with the wine grower himself or herself, overlooking the Lake Geneva with the mountains, then having a sip of white wine. This is the best wine you can drink. But maybe to mention one special wine that I really like, and this is a special kind. Before we heard that in the Italian part of Switzerland, they produce the Merlot. And Merlot is traditionally a red wine. It comes from red grapes, but in the Ticino area, they produce a white Merlot, and they produce a white wine out of red grapes. Quite confusing, but it tastes fantastic. And the difference between the red and the white, they use the exactly same grapes. It's just that they remove the skin when they produce the wine, or they take it out a bit earlier because the skin gives the red color. And a white Merlot is definitely something very pleasant, also for, let's say, for beginners. Not too heavy, not too strong, and it definitely doesn't cause a headache.
Okay, Edwin actually say, very nice, we can order direct from Oliver. But I'm not too sure whether Oliver has enough stocks to actually give it out to us. But we can consider that as a business.
We can consider it as a business, yes.
Okay. Yeah, so I think we can move on. We don't have any questions.
Okay, so then we land at the typical Swiss dishes, maybe. So we have spoken already about the cheese, of course. But if you think about Switzerland, something else we really have to mention are these veal sausages. Mm-hmm. So you can see them here on the picture. We usually eat them together with a kind of potato dish, which is called rösti. Now here you have a little bit, I can say it's quite a heavy dish as well. Originally, you must maybe think a little bit about, the temperatures in Switzerland are not the same as in Singapore. So usually in wintertime, we need a little bit more heavy food to keep our bodies warm and working. So that's why we have this tradition with the veal sausages in Switzerland. But apart from that, of course, we also have gourmet. So it's not that if you come to Switzerland, you can only eat heavy dishes. We have also very nice gourmet dishes that is important to mention. So on the right side of the slide, you can see some examples of a little bit more stylish gourmet food. So actually, it's a food paradise for all tastes, I would say. You can rather try the traditional sausages with this rösti, which is a potato dish, or maybe the fondue, the cheese dishes. Or if you want to go light and try something different, then that possibility definitely exists as well. And it can be also recommendable to order a veal sausage dish if you would like to try it out one day, maybe to share it with friends and family, because it's a little bit a heavy dish to just cut a part of it and try it out, see if you like it, and then then combine it with something else, with vegetables or with some rice, for example. There is a lot of restaurants that are really open for this. So it's not that you just have to eat this complete sausage and you don't have any other possibilities. You can definitely make a little bit a combination of the rather heavy dishes with something a little bit more light. For it's nice for all kind of tastes to try this out. The Swiss, the veal sausages in Switzerland, they are very traditional. We eat them as well. Not only these, but also cervela, for example. That's a little bit a different kind of sausage. We like to eat it on the Swiss traditional day, most of all. That is the 1st of August, our birthday, to say it like that. This is a typical dish we eat at that time of the year. So it's in summer. Even in summer, we like this kind of rather heavy dishes than the light food we also have. Then a part of this, we spoke already a little bit about the cheese making you can do at some farms. Now in Switzerland we have quite a lot of farm shops. We call them Hofladen in the Swiss German language. What does this mean? Now we have still in Switzerland many traditional farms, so where the milk and the cheese and the vegetables and the potatoes are really produced. They're all natural, it's everything biological, or most of it is biological. And what is now possible? Many of these farms have a little shop next door where you can buy these fresh products. So if you are traveling around in Switzerland by train, or maybe you are traveling by car, and you would like to stop at one of these farms and you see written this name Hofladen, which means farm shop, then you can get in and have a look and buy the fresh products directly there. In summertime, it's even possible as well, when it's the month of July, for example, that is traditionally the season for the cherries. You can go to the farm, catch the cherries yourself, then leave a coin at the farmer's place and take this beautiful fresh fruit with you. That is really a unique experience that doesn't exist at so many places in the world. Now, we don't do this only with cherries. This is also possible with other types of fruits. Think about apples, for example, strawberries as well. At many farms, you have the possibility to collect this yourself as part of a nice experience. Leave some money at the farmer's place and then take this beautiful fresh fruit with you. So that's something I wanted to make you aware of. A very natural and biological, fresh experience, something real nice to do in Switzerland. And there, as you can see, many times they also sell some wines. They make fresh bread most of the time, so you can take some fresh bread with you if you would like for on the way, and so on. But definitely this fruit picking experience directly at the farms is something unique in the world. If you are in summer in Switzerland, I wouldn't skip that, because that is a fresh, nice Swiss experience.
Catharina, may I ask if the locals actually visit places like this, or is mostly for tourists?
Oh, it's actually nice that you ask that. It's definitely the locals doing this as well. Mm-hmm. I can give you an example. I'm living in a village not so far away from Zurich, and we have quite a lot of farms nearby. And I actually go every week to the farmer's place to buy some biological yogurts, some fresh fruits from them. It's not only to support the farmers, it's also because the taste is just really, really natural. I mean, you can go to the supermarket, of course, and find many of these products, because many of the farmers sell it to the supermarkets as well. But it's just a very nice local experience to buy this directly at the farmers. They have, for example, at the place where I used to go, they have one machine where they sell the milk, which comes basically directly from the cow. So more fresh experience and more fresh milk than that, it's impossible to find. And I buy my eggs there, I buy my cheese there, I buy my vegetables there, I buy my potatoes there. So it's not only for tourists, it's definitely also for the locals. Yeah.
Is it possible for us to choose the ingredients and then we get the chef there to cook for us? Are there such options available?
Yes, there is that kind of options available, and that's even a different experience, which we call Swisstovolata, I can say. You can maybe move on to this section, because that is something you can do as well. I think Oliver maybe wants to share some information about this experience.
Yes, I can do that with pleasure. Just maybe one thing to add before with the experience on the farm. You can even bring it to the next level, because certain farmers, they offer overnight stays for families, so you can really be part of the farm life. You mentioned the machine where you can get the fresh milk. There are even some farmers, you can milk the cow and drink the milk directly from the cow. So these options exist. So if you want, maybe as a family with kids, you live in the big city, and then you want to escape and learn how the farm life looks like, you can sleep on the farm in a barn on like hay beds. In the morning, you hear the cowbells that wake you up. You smell the fresh bread that the farmer's wife is baking. This is definitely a good experience to compare the farm life or the life on the countryside and the life in the city. Saying that, yeah, we can move to the next slide onto this Swisstovolata. This is actually an initiative by the farmers or the wives of the farmers. They create their own business. They say, we invite guests and we cook them our food with our products, and they eat in our place. So it cannot be more authentic than this one. And this is more than just a dinner. This is really all-in experience, and meet the locals. I think this is not very well known yet, but I recommend that. I had the chance to try this out, and I can wrongly recommend this. And we have some other pictures here on this slide. Yeah, the picnic in the Alps, I think, or just in the countryside. That's also a very Swiss thing, that we bring our food, we take a backpack and put some food inside. We go for a little walk, and once we reach a nice spot on a lake or up in the mountains with a beautiful view, we sit on a bench, or we put something on the floor then we sit on a blanket and enjoy the view. And then we have our bread, our cheese, our chocolate, our sausages. I mean, the sausages, sometimes we grill them on an open fire. Perfect childhood memories. This is also quite a Swiss thing. And the one in the middle, this is the so-called snack box, the Grand Tour of Switzerland snack box. This is the red box you see. You can get them on 44 different spots in Switzerland, all over the country. And you can fill those boxes again and again and again with local specialties. So on all 44 different spots, the content of the box looks different, because when you're in the Italian part, they might have a special sausage from Lugano, and if you are in Gruyere, they most likely have the Gruyere cheese in there, and it always comes for 2 person, so it can always stock up again. And while traveling through Switzerland, you always have some snacks with you. So also a nice souvenir. Once the box is empty, you can put your stuff you bought at the airport before flying home. You can put your souvenirs in there and then bring it home. I also have a box here. Actually, I should have brought it right now.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
That is actually a very nice experience. Having a snack box with you, and then trying out all the different local delicacies inside the box as when you are doing your walks or your hikes. So how does this actually work? Do we pay a single price and we get to enjoy all 44 points? Or do we actually pay every time we get it top up?
Yeah, you pay every time you top up. So you basically, the box itself is about 30 plus Sing dollars. And then for a top up, it's 30 Sing dollars. Every time you want to refill, it costs 20 Swiss francs. This is about 30 Sing dollars. And then you have delicacies for 2 person. So it's $15 per person.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's actually very value for money. And at the end of the trip, we can keep the box, yeah?
Yeah, you can keep the box.
That's a nice
and
souvenir as well.
It's actually quite big, so you can put quite some stuff inside, and it's very light. It's aluminum, and so no problem to bring it home. You can put it in the suitcase, and it doesn't need much space, and it's also not much weight. So it's a nice souvenir. And I have it here as a decoration item now in my apartment.
Okay, we have a question from Sophia. Where do we go to purchase the top-up of the picnic box?
There are 44 official sales outlets along the Grand Tour of Switzerland. So if you want to have a map with the spots, you can go on myswitzerland.com. That's our website, and then just type in Grand Tour of Switzerland snack box. I will share the link later in the chat. Then you can see where it is.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any more questions regarding this?
What is very nice about all these three different kinds of experiences, as Oliver mentioned already a little bit, is that it really goes back to nature. So you can really, whether you do the Swisstovolata and you want really to be at the farm with the farmer's family, you are really very, very much doing what the locals do. So it's a very local experience. And of course, for this Grand Tour of Switzerland and the picnics in the Alps, it's just very nice to take your backpack, to take some food with you, or take this box, the Grand Tour of Switzerland box, and fill it up with the things you like, the typical things. And then just look for a nice sightseeing point, a nice place where you feel comfortable, where you can sit down, have views over the Alps, over the mountain peaks with snows, over the beautiful lakes. Maybe, as Oliver said, you bring some sausages and you can grill them on these open fireplaces. You find a lot of them all in the country. So you do not have to necessarily to go to a restaurant to enjoy this kind of experiences. You can do it very well outside, in open air, in fresh air. And my mother always used to say there is no better air to breathe than the air from the Swiss Alps. So I would say do that and enjoy this typical experience, because it's healthy, it's fresh, and it's all back to nature. It's very natural.
I saw Ming already shared the link. Fantastic. You were super fast. While I was still Googling it, you mentioned you posted it already. And something that I just remembered, because I see the picture with the picnic again, there are certain local tourist boards. You can go to the tourist office and they provide a bag with like a picnic bag, and even like the fondue set. So you can just go, you pay a certain amount. Don't ask me now how much it is, because I just remembered that I saw that once. So you can get your whole fondue picnic set ready, packed, and then you just need to find a spot, and then you can make your fondue lunch somewhere in the countryside, and you afterwards you just return the empty stuff. Fantastic experience.
Okay, I hope our customers don't actually burn down the area.
No.
Okay, actually, it's a very nice experience. Personally, for me, I enjoy doing things like scenic walks in the nature parks, in nature basically. So to have to actually get back to the town to have my meals, my lunch in a restaurant will be quite troublesome sometimes. So by preparing early, having a snack box with me, basically I can settle my lunch, basically a very easy and light lunch, and then we can basically spend longer in the nature with this picnic box. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so very great initiative by the Swiss Tourism Board. Do we have any more questions regarding this?
I think it's good.
Yeah, so far so good. Okay, is there any more things you'd like to share, Catharina?
Well, I think this is pretty much the highlights of the culinary experience in Switzerland. Definitely the cheese. Try it out when you come to Switzerland. Try the wine, because it's really good. It's a fantastic combination with the cheese itself. The chocolate, of course, is always something nice to take home, and yeah, mostly to make your own chocolate and engrave something, a personal message, for example, for a friend or a family, is something I really like to do for my friends abroad, and they always appreciate that a lot, not only because of the detail, but also because the Swiss chocolate is just considered as something very good. And then this back to nature principle, I think that's something quite unique as well, as Being mentioned, sometimes you are in the mountains and you don't want to hassle, you don't want to run back to eat in a restaurant. So it's a fantastic experience to have something with you, like for example this Grand Tour of Switzerland box or the picnic bag. Then you are very flexible and you can really enjoy your trip and your holidays the most. You are not depending on timings, you are not depending on schedules. You can just do it all by your own, in your time, at your convenience. And that's something really good, I think, here in Switzerland. Of course, always accompanied by beautiful views, because you can just choose your spot. So you basically always have a table at the window, to say like that, with the best views.
Okay, I do have one important question, because one of the main consideration that we always have in our travel planning is how we can actually incorporate some Asian food midway through the itinerary. Okay, because we know our customers cannot live without the spices, the rice, and the noodles, or even hot soup. So, Oliver, maybe can you share with us how easy it is to get Asian food around in Switzerland, and are they commonly available everywhere in every town?
Well, everywhere in every town, no, I wouldn't say that. But don't you worry, you can get some good Asian food in Switzerland, so you don't have to starve when you travel. Let's take a rule of thumb. The bigger the city and the more touristic an area is, the higher is the chance that you get some good Asian food there. If you go to a small village somewhere in the countryside, there you probably only get some local food. But Switzerland is small, it's easy to travel around, you can reach bigger places in no time, so you're quite safe. There are some nice restaurants, a lot of, let's say, the most popular Asian cuisines we have in Switzerland are Chinese and Thai, I would say. These are the most famous Chinese restaurants we have. There is a small number of Indonesian, there are some Japanese restaurants, there are some Korean restaurants, but this is then a rather small number. I still recommend, if there is any ingredient that you need on a daily basis, just bring it to Switzerland. Bring your chili sauce, bring your spices in a little bag, so that you're on the safe side. We as a Swiss citizens, when we travel around the world, we also have our special kind of spices called aromat that we need for almost on a daily basis. So bring that to be on the safe side. You don't need to bring your cup noodles. This one you can buy in the shops as well. No need to bring that. Rice you can get everywhere. It's just your spicy level doesn't match with the spicy level of Switzerland. So maybe there a little story I experienced myself about 5 years ago. I was in Switzerland after a travel trade show, and I still had two Malaysian clients with me. We were on the same evening flight, and we had some extra time, and we were hungry, and the two ladies, they were starving, and they said, hey, we need some Asian food, we need some spicy food. So we went to a restaurant in Zurich. It was a Thai restaurant. They said, that's fantastic, let's go there. And the waitress, she didn't speak English very well, and so I had to translate a little bit. And the two agents said, yeah, we want to have some spicy food. And the waitress, she told me, no, I will bring it medium, because yeah, spicy is really spicy. They will not be able to eat it. So she convinced the two agents to order medium. And the agent said, yeah, we want medium. This is good. So then I was like, okay, medium in Malaysia is like super hot in Switzerland. So I told the waitress in Swiss German, make it extra spicy. She said, no, they ordered medium, so make it extra spicy. If they don't eat it, I pay again. Then you bring another one and it will be okay. And it was just perfect. So I realized very spicy in Switzerland is medium in Southeast Asia. So just that you can compare a little bit. And if you order some chili padi, they will most likely not be able to provide the spicy ones. So bring a little bit of fresh chili powder yourself.
So for those who cannot live without the very spicy chili, so feel free to bring along a bottle of chili sauce or your own concoction of chili. It basically makes the meal better for you. You feel more at home sometimes, and then basically it's just a comfort food for some of us.
Yeah. But if you go to a place like Interlaken or Zermatt or in Geneva, Lausanne, Zurich, they have good Asian restaurants. And I mean, for us in Switzerland, the Asian restaurants are more a bit exotic restaurants. It's a bit similar when you're here in Singapore and you go to a Western restaurant, it's also a bit exotic. So you can compare it a bit. It's about on the same level. But we don't have this kind of hawker centers where you can just get your chicken rice or something like that. This one we don't have.
Okay. Any final questions? I do not see any coming in at this moment. Yep. So this is basically our contact information if you would like to contact us. Okay, and some of the useful websites, myswitzerland.com is basically the Swiss Tourism Board website. That is where you can actually get a lot of helpful resources to help you with your planning. If not, you can reach us at toplinersclub.com. That is where we can help you with your travel planning. And Swiss Epic Tours are basically our partners handling all our tours over to Switzerland. Okay. Yeah, let me just end this slide. Yeah.
So it's maybe just for you to know, there are a lot of food related experiences in Switzerland. I just shared the link right now. Do challenge Ming and Julian and me and Catharina if you're looking for something, food related. There are so many things, we cannot share everything with you. You can have a look at the link I just shared and Google a little bit what kind of experiences you have. And then I'm sure Ming and Catharina are more than happy to arrange the perfect itinerary for you with all these different kind of experiences. I mean, there are so many. We could fill another 1, 2, 3 hours just with some experiences we could recommend.
Yeah. So, okay, we hope we have tickled your palates enough today. And we have shared enough information about some of the gastronomical experiences you can have in Switzerland the next time you are there. Okay, so on top of this experience, what we typically do in travel planning is also to provide a list of recommended restaurants in the town that you are visiting. So that is basically for you to get reference from in terms of what kind of cuisines you want, what kind of restaurants are recommended for you. So we can also make advanced reservations for restaurants that are typically very busy for you. So feel free to talk to us if you need any help in planning your next Switzerland travel. Yeah. Oh, we have one question. Hiking for beginner and middle-aged adults. We can, because currently this session is about food. And we have kind of exceeded our time. So Imjan, do you mind contacting us on our email? And then we can share with you some of our experiences with hiking there. And then some of the nice places that we can do hiking as well. Yeah, because this is actually a very broad topic that we need to cover. There are a couple of regions that you can do hiking, and it depends on the difficulty level as well as your fitness level. So there are some considerations that we have to consider before recommending to you.
Yeah, hiking and food, he mentioned. Yeah, that's a perfect combination.
Yes.
We often do that. We
always my favorite.
We do some hiking and then we can eat a little bit more. So it's like compensation.
Yeah, we work for food.
It's a good excuse. We work for food, yes.
Yeah. Okay, so I do hope that we can all sit down and enjoy the Swiss scenery, okay, while enjoying a nice glass of wine together in Switzerland really soon. Yeah, so with that, I think we don't have any more questions. I'd like to thank our two guest speakers tonight, Catharina and Oliver, for sharing your valuable insights with us, and also our audiences here for taking time out tonight. And we hope you had some good takeaway tonight. And we wish you a good week ahead. And good night, everybody. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thanks for joining.
Goodbye, everybody. See you next session.